Get out of my way! Get out of my way! Maddie, somebody get us some help!
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, it burns! I can't see!
You took everything! I'm gonna kill you! Take your shot.
The series begins with a boy named Matt Murdock, who is lying on the road after being hit by a chemical truck. He tried to save an old man, but ended up in the accident himself. His father, Jack Murdock, runs toward him. He finds that the chemicals have gotten into Matt's eyes, and Matt is complaining that he can't see anything.
Somebody get us some help!
Your boy, he pushed me out of the way. He saved my life.
Oh, it burns! I can't see! I can't see!
The scene then shifts to the present, where Matt is now an adult. He is blind and is talking with a priest in a church, telling him about his father Jack, who was a fantastic boxer. Matt says he wants to be like his father. The priest asks him what sins he has committed since he's in church seeking forgiveness. Matt replies that he hasn't done anything yet, but soon he will be committing many sins.
I'm not seeking penance for what I've done, Father. I'm asking forgiveness for what I'm about to do.
What exactly are you going to do?
Пошли!
The next morning, Matt is sleeping in his house when he receives a call from his best friend, Foggy Nelson. Foggy is unaware of Matt's hidden powers. He talks to Matt. After cutting his call, he meets with police officers. He hands one of them a brown bag and says to the police officer that if he gets any work for them, he should let them know. Matt and Foggy are private lawyers, and they decide to set up their office together. They visit a place for their office, but it's not clean. Foggy doesn't want to take it, but Matt finds the place quite reasonable, so he decides to take it.
Hell's Kitchen's on the rebound, Mr. Nelson, and in 18 months, you won't be able to rent a broom closet at this price point.
We'll take it. My partner and I are having some disagreements over the direction of Nelson and Murdock.
And my partner fails to recognize that as defense attorneys, we're never going to be able to keep the lights on.
The scene then shifts to a girl who wakes up to find a knife in her hand completely covered in blood. In front of her, there is a dead body, also covered in blood. She calls the police, but when they arrive, they accuse her of the murder and handcuff her. The girl screams that she didn't kill the person. The police officer calls Foggy and informs him about a current case. Matt and Foggy head to the police station. The girl explains to them that she can't afford to hire them as her lawyers because she doesn't have any money. Foggy decides to leave, but Matt stays, suspecting that someone else might be framing the girl. Matt asks for her name and she introduces herself as Karen Page. She tells Matt that the man who died is Danny, her colleague from work. She recalls that last night she went to a bar for drinks with Danny, but after just one drink, she started feeling sleepy. When she woke up, she found Danny's dead body. Matt realizes that Karen is telling the truth.
But it's hard to meet people in the city, so I asked him if he would have a drink with me. We had a few drinks, and the next thing that I remember is waking up on the floor of my apartment covered in blood. And I don't know what happened after that. It wasn't me. I didn't kill him.
I believe you, Miss Page.
James Wesley, a corrupt individual, is revealed to be the one who murdered Danny. To protect his boss, Wesley now plans to kill Karen. He visits a corrupt police officer, Clyde Farnham, and blackmails him into agreeing to kill Karen. Wesley threatens Clyde, saying that if he doesn't do the job, he will kill Clyde's daughter. Under pressure, Clyde agrees. That night, Clyde enters Karen's cell and tries to strangle her. The next day, Foggy and Matt express their concern for Karen's safety and manage to get her released from jail. Matt takes Karen to his office where she shares her concerns with him. She explains that she discovered a secret file belonging to her boss, which showed pension amounts in the millions, an unusually large sum. When she brought it up with her boss, he advised her to stay quiet about it. Matt takes Karen to his house and asks her about the secret file. Karen tells him that her boss took the file from her, but Matt senses that she's not telling the whole truth.
The first time, they're not trying to kill you. They're trying to discredit you. They're trying to scare you. If you have something that they want, is the Union Allied pension file. Did you keep the file, Karen?
The IT guys, they came and they wiped the computers. Part of me wishes I'd made a copy for myself.
Ah, well, it's just a thought.
Meanwhile, Madame Gao, a powerful drug dealer, is seen. The smugglers who were kidnapping the girls and were beaten by Matt arrive at Madame Gao's place. James Wesley also shows up and asks the smugglers why there are fewer girls than expected. The smugglers explain that someone attacked them, but they couldn't identify him because he was covered. James becomes furious and warns them that the boss will not tolerate this. After delivering the warning, James leaves. Karen tries to leave the house while Matt is sleeping, but he senses her footsteps and follows her. Karen returns to her house and retrieves a pen drive. As she is about to leave, someone attacks her from behind and steals the pen drive. The attacker is about to kill Karen when Matt arrives just in time.
Hey, I don't want you to end up like your old man. Look where it got me. Come on, Maddie. Get to work.
I'll get this into the right hands.
Can't take it to the police. You can't trust anyone.
Then we tell everyone.
James Wesley, furious over the turn of events, reports to his boss, who advises him to keep a close watch on Karen's lawyers. Back at the office, Matt, Karen, and Foggy are celebrating Karen's release. During the celebration, Karen expresses her desire to work with them in their office. After the celebration, Matt goes to the gym, where he continues to train and hone his hidden superpowers. Meanwhile, Madame Gao is seen overseeing kidnapped people who are being forced to pack drugs for her operation. Matt, standing on the rooftop of a building, suddenly senses that some people are kidnapping a child nearby. Without hesitation, he puts on his mask and heads straight to the crime scene. A man named Santino is standing near a dustbin, feeling very nervous. Anxious, he runs away from the site. Meanwhile, Matt, heavily injured, is lying in the dustbin, screaming in pain. Santino eventually returns with a woman named Claire Temple. They take Matt out of the dustbin and bring him to Claire's apartment. As Claire begins to examine Matt, she realizes that he is blind. Upset by how badly injured Matt is, Claire starts to dial a hospital number, but Matt quickly snatches her phone and asks her to stop. The scene then shifts to the past, where a young Matt is watching his father's boxing match. His father loses the match, leaving Matt upset as he sits at the dining table. When his father returns home, Matt gives him medical treatment and asks if they can pay the rent on time. His father pulls out an envelope filled with money. The scene shifts back to the present, where Karen is in the office with Foggy. They are in a lively mood, enjoying each other's company. Meanwhile, Claire is still treating Matt. Matt, overwhelmed and unable to answer her questions.
You see my face?
Yeah. Your outfit kind of sucks, by the way.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
Do you mind telling me how a blind man in a mask ends up beaten half to death in my dumpster?
The less you know about me, the better.
This is my night off. I'm really not looking for some guy to die on my couch.
Are you a doctor?
Yeah, the less you know about me, the better. Rest. Make sure you're stabilized. We'll figure the other stuff out later.
I can't see!
Maddie, it's me. It's Dad. I'm right here in the hospital, but I'm right here with you.
Everything's so loud. I can't see.
I'm gonna relieve the pressure, but I'm gonna need you to hold still, okay? This is gonna hurt.
Matt explains that he was trying to save a child, but some Russian kidnappers killed the child's father and planned to kidnap the child to use him for drug trafficking. However, when Matt arrived at the scene, the child was gone, and the Russians were waiting to ambush him. They beat him severely. Suddenly, Matt hears some noises with his heightened senses and tells Claire that some police officers are coming. Claire doesn't believe him at first, but when she steps outside, she sees the police officers approaching. Claire now starts believing Matt. The scene shifts to the past, where Matt is sitting with his father, Jack. Suddenly, some men approach and pull Jack aside. They tell him that he has to lose today's match. Jack initially refuses, but they threaten to harm Matt, so he reluctantly agrees. Back in the present, Claire is talking with the police detective. The detective asks her if she has seen anyone suspicious, mentioning that they received information about a man being in the area. Nervously, Claire responds that she doesn't know anything. The detective starts to suspect her due to her nervous behavior, but says nothing and leaves. Claire goes back inside, but Matt warns her that the detective is suspicious of her.
Алло, привет. Это я, Семен.
What are you doing?
Блядь, давай, быстрее!
Matt instructs Claire to take the detective to the rooftop with Santino's help. Meanwhile, Karen and Foggy are seen in a bar, discussing their past lives. Back at Claire's apartment, Matt asks her why she helped him, even though she doesn't know him. Claire explains that she has treated many people who were beaten by a man wearing a black mask. She noticed that this masked man only targeted criminals, which made her feel good about him. She admits that she always wanted to meet him. The scene then shifts again to the past, where Jack is preparing for his boxing match, knowing he is supposed to lose. Matt encourages him to win the match, and Jack realizes that Matt has overheard the conversation about the agreement to lose. Determined to do what's right, Jack decides to win the match, no matter the consequences. He calls a friend and instructs him to transfer money from his account to Matt's account. He then calls another man and informs him that he's going to do something big and asks him to take responsibility for his son if anything happens to him. The detective, who was knocked out by Matt, regains consciousness. Matt confronts him, saying he knows the detective is working for the criminals and demands to know where the child is hidden. Despite a severe beating from Matt, the detective refuses to give a clear answer. Claire and Matt continue to pressure him, and eventually, the detective agrees to reveal the location, but warns Matt that there are many others like him who can kill him.
I'm doing this because I enjoy it.
Where is he? Underneath the Striker restaurant. 11th and 44th. If you're lucky, they'll kill you before they start hitting on the boy. Watch what they do, Jim.
You landed in the dumpster you pulled me out of.
Is he dead?
He'll live.
The scene then shifts to the past, where Jack is in his boxing match. He wins the fight, defying the orders to lose. After the match, Jack hurries to leave. Matt is overjoyed by his father's victory and waits for him. But after waiting for a long time, he goes out to look for him. He sees police officers surrounding a body. When Matt approaches, he realizes with horror that it's his father who has been killed. Back in the present, a child kidnapped by the Russian mafia is shown. Mr. Prohaska is bowling when a man named John Healy suddenly walks into the bowling alley. Healy asks Prohaska to play a game with him, but Prohaska mocks him. Angered by this, Healy starts a fight with Prohaska and his men, ultimately killing all of them. The scene then shifts to 36 hours earlier, showing Healy purchasing a gun from another man. The scene shifts back to the present, where Healy has hidden the gun. The police arrive at the scene and arrest him. Meanwhile, Matt is sitting with a church father, having a conversation. At the same time, a man named Ben is standing with a businessman who informs Ben that someone has arrived in the city and is killing businessmen to take control of the city. Matt arrives at his office, where Foggy and Karen are waiting for him. Just then, James arrives and asks Foggy and Matt to take on Healy's case, offering them a large sum of money. Matt refuses to take the case, finding the offer suspicious, but Foggy tries to persuade him to reconsider.
Then forgive me for being blunt.
Blunt is a strong word.
In my line of work, I find it refreshing. And for that, for nothing more than your exceptional skills and your discretion. Your partner doesn't seem convinced.
Like Foggy said, we're particular about our clientele.
End up working for you after you get them off for murder, or just the pretty ones? I didn't mean to upset anyone.
How did you know about Miss Page's situation?
I have friends on the force. You have 38 minutes to get to precinct 15.
What is your problem?
You wouldn't even give us his name, Foggy.
You wouldn't care if you could see the zeros on this check.
It's been taken care of, sir.
Matt suggests that Foggy talk to Healy first, while he secretly follows James. Foggy meets with Healy and asks him why he killed Prohaska and his men. Healy claims it was in self-defense, but Foggy senses that Healy is lying and decides not to take the case. However, when Matt returns, he changes his mind and decides to take the case after all, and both he and Foggy agree to represent Healy. Meanwhile, Ben is working in his office when his boss, Ellison, approaches and asks about his current assignment. Ben explains that he is investigating a man who is trying to take control of the city through violence. The boss, concerned about stirring up trouble, tells Ben not to pursue the story. Ben tries to convince him otherwise, but the boss leaves, unwilling to let him continue the investigation. Matt and Foggy are in a tense conversation with Healy, trying to figure out why James Wesley is so determined to protect him. Healy remains silent, refusing to answer their questions. Frustrated, Matt raises his voice, but Foggy pulls him aside, advising him to stay calm and composed. Meanwhile, James returns to the bowling alley and retrieves the gun that Healy had previously hidden. Back at the office, Matt and Foggy decide to consult Karen for her opinion, but when they arrive, they find that she isn't there. Karen is actually meeting with her boss, who warns her not to reveal anything about the secret file. He tries to bribe her with a large sum of money to keep quiet.
And as a show of good faith, my clients would like to offer you a lump sum of 6 months' salary.
As long as I keep my mouth shut.
Isn't that what you want?
At the same time, Ben is at the hospital, arguing with a hospital manager about the cost of his wife's care. He is out of money and can't afford the hospital fees. The manager insists that he must pay the bill within 5 days. Distressed, Ben enters his wife's room, where she lies in a weakened state. The trial for Healy's case is underway, with Foggy and Matt presenting their arguments in court. A key witness, a woman who is crucial to the case, is called to testify. Matt, using his heightened senses, detects her rapid heartbeat and realizes that she is being coerced into testifying. Later that night, as the woman leaves, a man approaches her and threatens her, demanding that she give testimony in favor of Healy.
Stay down. What do you have on her?
Something she don't want her kids to know about.
You get rid of it.
I can't.
Not a discussion.
That isn't how this works.
He'll kill me.
Then you better leave my city.
Despite this, the next day, Matt delivers a compelling speech in court, leading the jury to believe that Healy is innocent. As a result, Healy is acquitted and set free. Meanwhile, Leland Owlsley is seen sitting with James Wesley in a car, discussing their plans. Leland wants to meet with Fisk, but James informs him that Fisk is currently too busy. Karen, on the other hand, meets with the widow of Danny, the man who was killed, and then goes to Ben. She tells Ben that she is ready to reveal everything about Union Allied, the company involved in the conspiracy, but asks Ben to publish the truth about them. Ben agrees to help. Determined to uncover the truth, Matt tracks down Healy and confronts him, demanding to know who his boss is. A brutal fight ensues between them.
The man that hired your lawyers. Who does he work for? Tell me. Who does he work for?
I can't.
I want a name! Wilson Fisk! You get in your car. If I ever see you in Hell's Kitchen again.
No! I gave up his name. You don't do that, not to him. You should have just killed me.
The scene shifts to Fisk, who is calmly observing artwork at an art exhibition, unaware of the chaos unfolding around him. Two Russian brothers, Vladimir and Anatoly Ranskahov, are in prison and are in a very critical situation. They plan to escape to New York. The scene then shifts to 8 years later, where one of the brothers is running and a dead body falls on his car, but he keeps running. Matt, sensing something is wrong, stands by the window. Matt is receiving medical treatment from Claire. Claire advises him to make a super costume, but Matt refuses, saying it would reduce his speed. Matt then gives Claire a mobile phone and asks her to call him before coming. Before leaving, Matt asks her about Fisk, but Claire doesn't know anything about him. The two brothers talk to James, explaining the accident from the previous night. James tells them to work for Fisk and to find the man in the black mask, warning them that Fisk will harm them if they fail.
He's weakened your operation.
You think us weak?
We value the services you provide, but clearly you need help providing them.
Tell Mr.
We don't
Fisk.
say his name. The choice of how we proceed is yours.
Знаешь, почему Фиск не хочет, чтобы кто-то знал его имя? Потому что это предаст, что он просто человек.
Karen and Ben are talking in a restaurant, where Karen tells him how the man in the black mask saved her life. But Ben doesn't believe her, thinking it's just a story. The Russians visit the detective who was thrown from a building by Matt and Claire. They inject him with something to bring him back to consciousness. He tells them about Claire, and the Russians leave. Fisk and James are discussing their worries about the masked man and come up with a plan. Fisk goes to an art gallery and meets Vanessa Fisk, asking her out to dinner.
I was actually wondering if you cared to join me for dinner.
I'm the only one working here tonight. You're not going to offer to buy every painting in here so I can close up early?
A woman that can be bought isn't worth having.
I'm partial to Italian.
Some Russian goons break into Claire's house and try to kidnap her. Claire calls Matt, who is with Foggy. Matt rushes to her house, but it's too late. The Russians have successfully taken Claire.
Hey, what's up? Claire, can you hear me?
Это я предание. Сантино не обманул.
Эй, уверен.
Matt goes back to Claire's apartment, where he meets Santino, who is crying. Santino tells Matt that the Russians beat him and asked about Claire. Matt helps him relax and gathers more information. Meanwhile, Fisk and Vanessa are sitting in a restaurant. The Russians are beating Claire to get information about Matt, but she doesn't reveal anything. The lights go out, and Matt arrives.
You answer, he stops hitting you. Everyone is happy. I will begin breaking you, a piece at a time. Miha! I'm walking out of here.
Vladimir and Anatoly return to Vela's taxi and find their men badly beaten. Realizing they need help, Anatoly decides to accept Fisk's offer and goes to meet him. Karen has made an auction bid on a computer and won it. She and Ben discuss plans on how to retrieve files from the computer. Anatoly shows up and causes a bit of a scene with Fisk. When Vanessa realizes Fisk is involved in the criminal world, she tries to leave because she doesn't want to be involved with criminals. Fisk asks James to put Anatoly in a car and tries to talk to Vanessa, but she doesn't listen and leaves, leaving Fisk upset. Foggy sees a computer in the office and Karen lies to him, saying she found it at a cheaper rate and had it delivered to the office. Matt brings Claire to his house and provides medical treatment. James and Anatoly are sitting in a car, and James takes him to a place where he tells him that the boss, Fisk, will meet them there.
Sir? Yes, passenger side.
Embarrassed me in front of her. Помоги!
Take what's left of him and send it to his brother.
It'll start a war.
I'm counting on it.
Claire takes a moment alone in Matt's bathroom, still shaken by what happened in the last episode. While she showers, Matt makes breakfast for her. They sit down together, and Matt checks her injuries. She asks how he's able to do the things he does, and he gives a brief explanation about his senses. Matt kisses her and asks her to stay so he can keep her safe before he leaves for work. Wesley enters Vladimir's hideout. Vladimir is on the phone, clearly worried about his brother. Wesley stays calm, acting like he has no idea what happened to Anatoly. Then another person comes in and tells Vladimir that they found Anatoly's body, which they bring in. Vladimir finds a piece of black fabric on his brother's body, clearly placed there to make it look like the man in the mask is responsible. In a garage, Fisk and Wesley meet with Madame Gao, Nobu, and Leland Owlsley, while Anatoly's blood is being cleaned off Fisk's car. The others are upset that Fisk killed Anatoly over a personal matter because it could mess up their plans. Leland makes some funny comments and shows surprising disrespect to Fisk. A blind worker for Madame Gao is in the backseat of a car. When the car stops, the two Russians in the front seat get out and go into a nearby building. Matt, dressed in his black costume, appears.
Where's Vladimir?
They still got the head off.
What are you talking about?
The next morning at the office, Karen and Foggy are dealing with their new equipment when Matt arrives. Soon they get a new client, Mrs. Cardenas, who needs help with her suspicious landlord, Mr. Tully. Karen and Matt use their Spanish skills to communicate with her. After Mrs. Cardenas leaves, Matt suggests he go to the police station to get some paperwork, and Foggy should meet with the opposing lawyer. Foggy is not pleased to find out that Mr. Tully's lawyer is from Landman & Zach, the firm where he and Matt used to intern, and were unhappy after turning down a job offer. Matt suggests Foggy take Karen with him. Matt goes to the police station and talks to Sergeant Mahoney about finding records related to Mrs. Cardenas' case. While waiting, he overhears corrupt cops, Blake and Hoffman, questioning the Russian suspect Matt had tried to question earlier.
Enjoy your next 30.
What if I give you another name? It's Wilson Fisk. No one was supposed to say his name.
Whose turn is it?
Yours.
No! Watch out, Jesus! Stop my gun! Watch out!
You really shouldn't have said his name.
Matt is horrified, but too late to stop them, as shots are fired and chaos erupts in the station. Meanwhile, Karen and Foggy arrive at Landman & Zach and have a meeting in the lobby with Foggy's ex-girlfriend, Marcy Stahl, who is now working for Tully's legal team. In a car, Wesley and Fisk talk about the situation with the dead suspect and the corrupt cops, Blake and Hoffman. Wesley tells Fisk that internal affairs will handle the issue and that no one else heard what happened, but they are wrong. Foggy and Karen visit Mrs. Cardenas to help with some repairs. Outside the precinct, Matt, in his mask, attacks Detective Blake.
I had no choice. He jumped my partner.
You lie to me.
What I hear, you like to kill Russians too. You chopped Anatoly's head off.
How are Fisk and the Russians connected? Why did you kill Prohaska for?
You don't know?
Good evening, madame. This way, please.
As Blake's phone buzzes, Matt grabs it before leaving. Fisk and Vanessa have a private dinner date. Vanessa is hesitant, but agrees to give him another chance. Fisk promises to always be honest with her. Meanwhile, Vladimir is cleaning up his brother's body when Turk arrives. Turk mentions a car covered in blood and suggests that Fisk and the masked man might be connected. Vladimir offers a reward for anyone who can find Fisk, and Turk leaves. At Mrs. Cardenas' apartment, Foggy finishes fixing the sink. She invites him and Karen to stay for dinner, and they accept, making it a date. Back at Matt's place, Claire helps him check the phone he found. She discovers 4 addresses in a text message, one of which matches the location of Troika Restaurant from an earlier episode. Matt figures out that these addresses are places where the Russians are located. Fisk and Vanessa's date is going well. Vanessa talks about an old lover, and Fisk shares his plans for the city. Vanessa brings a gun, but when Fisk confronts her about it, she admits she knows he's dangerous, but still hands over the gun. We briefly check on Vladimir, who is still with his brother's body and has learned where Fisk is. Matt, in his mask, is listening nearby. We then cut to Karen and Foggy having dinner at Mrs. Cardenas' place. Foggy shares college stories, and they have a strange conversation about blind people touching faces. Next, we see one of Madame Gao's workers heading to a Russian warehouse where preparations for war are underway.
I need to get you home before the roads close. Marcel, just one more thing. Thank you for everything you've done for me this evening.
A pleasure as always, sir.
Fisk tells Vanessa that the attackers are the same group that took the boy from the first episode. Vanessa is pleased and decides to stay with Fisk. Matt regains consciousness outside the destroyed warehouse and hears the name Vladimir nearby. Turk is in a car with Wesley, and we find out that Turk was working with Fisk the whole time. Matt catches up with Vladimir and starts fighting the Russians.
Don't move! Raise him! Hands in the air, now! Don't you move! I'll put a bullet in you!
You got him? Yeah.
Take care of him like we were told.
Once he takes down everyone, he grabs the keys from one of the cops, uncuffs himself, and takes Vladimir with him. Ben Urich is examining his office wall covered in playing cards and news clippings, with a king of diamonds marked with a question mark at the top. The office gets busy when news breaks about explosions in Hell's Kitchen. Ben realizes that the addresses hit are all controlled by the Russians and starts investigating. In a car, Wesley and Fisk learn that Vladimir survived, which is a big problem for them. Fisk is worried about Madame Gao's reaction. Meanwhile, Blake and Hoffman are at a Russian site, pressuring a man trapped under concrete for information about Vladimir. When he doesn't know, they kill him and threaten the others. Matt brings Vladimir to an abandoned warehouse and talks to him, explaining he didn't kill his brother Anatoly and isn't with Fisk. Foggy and Karen take Mrs. Cardenas to the hospital, where Claire ends up treating her. Karen and Foggy watch the news and call Matt, who is hurt and bleeding. Matt calls and asks Claire to help save Vladimir, guiding her on what's in the room with him. Claire helps him by cauterizing Vladimir's wound with a flare.
Thanks, Claire. I gotta go.
Matt?
Show me your hands!
He can't hear you. Who do you work for?
City of New York.
I'm gonna ask you again.
City of New York. I got 2 months on the job.
Tell him it's a false alarm. No need to send backup.
Central Post 41K.
Second floor, Perpin mask, wounded civilian!
Ben Urich comes to the scene and tries to get information from the uncooperative officers, Blake and Hoffman. In a car, Wesley and Fisk discuss the hostage situation with the young cop and worry about Ben Urich. Fisk shows his power by controlling the news about the situation. Matt ties up the officer he's holding and talks to Vladimir, who is starting to wake up. Vladimir realizes Matt doesn't understand the full situation and headbutts him, leading to a fight that ends with them both passing out. Outside, Ben Urich is still investigating while Foggy and Karen are at the hospital. Foggy is hurt and tries to contact Matt, who is in bad shape but manages to revive Vladimir with chest compressions. Wesley uses a walkie-talkie to connect Fisk with Matt. Matt hears Fisk's voice and spots a possible escape route through a grate.
Hello.
Who is this?
I think you know.
Say your name.
You first. You and I have a lot in common.
We're nothing alike.
We both can't have what we want. It's not me you need to worry about. It's this city you just blew the hell out of. You're a child playing at being a hero.
No, I'm not trying to be a hero.
I respect your conviction. The city will burn you in effigy. Your name, your very existence.
You guys don't seem to be doing much hostage negotiating. Huh, Detective, you gonna start being straight with me?
What did you do?
What you forced me to do. Goodbye.
At the hospital, Claire and others see news footage of the masked man. Matt, realizing the police are closing in, tells Claire to stay safe. With Vladimir's help, Matt escapes through the tunnels.
Officer Sullivan is dead. I say again, Officer Sullivan is dead.
All right, we have to keep moving. Find our way to the street.
Freeze!
I think maybe I stay. Did you know who controls money? His name is Leland Owsley.
In Japan, a man is running away from someone chasing him. He fires a gun into an elevator but finds it empty. Suddenly, Stick appears, cuts off the man's hand, and threatens him with a sword, demanding something called Black Sky. The man says it's heading to New York, and then Stick kills him. Back at the office, Foggy reads about the Devil of Hell's Kitchen, and the three friends discuss the new terrorist. Karen defends him, while Foggy thinks he's a bad guy. Matt, trying to stay out of it, finally admits that the masked man deserves a fair defense and shouldn't be judged by the media. They joke about starting a company softball team. Foggy tries to flirt with Karen, and after she leaves, he tells Matt that Karen has mace on her keychain and seems to be hiding something. They also talk about Matt's new girlfriend, Claire, and Matt says it didn't work out. Foggy leaves and Matt stays behind to work on Leland Owsley. Owsley meets with Nobu in a parking garage to discuss Nobu's cargo coming to New York. Matt arrives and tries to get information from Owsley.
Oh, God. Who do you work for? I work for Silver and...
You're just gonna lie there all night?
We then flash back to Matt's childhood at the orphanage, where Stick first appears and tests Matt's skills. In another flashback, Matt and Stick are in a park, where Stick trains Matt and asks about his background. Stick promises to train him, and they practice sensing things. Back in the present, Matt is not pleased to see Stick again, indicating their past relationship wasn't good. Stick knows Matt is in trouble and wants to help. Karen and Ben Urich are in a car, discussing their findings. Ben is worried about Karen being involved and thinks she should be careful with the masked man. Matt brings Stick to his apartment, where Stick criticizes Matt's life choices and wants him to give up his comforts. Matt refuses, and they argue, recalling their harsh training sessions. Stick reveals he's here for the war and mentions a weapon called Black Sky. He criticizes Matt for not killing and calls his efforts half measures.
How many men have you killed protecting this city? Someday it's gonna come down to you or the other guy. Oh, screw it. Help me destroy Black Sky. Keep it off the streets.
One rule. You don't kill anybody.
I will not kill anybody, pussy.
Karen drops off groceries at Elena Cardenas's place and asks for information instead of money. After leaving, two men attack her in an alley, but Foggy arrives with a baseball bat to help. Karen is upset that Foggy followed her. Matt and Stick go to the docks where Stick has a hidden agenda. They find a shipping container with a chained child inside.
What's your strongest weapon?
My body.
You have to control your feelings. Your deep down inside feelings. Open yourself up to it. Learn it. Tomorrow we start with knives. Try not to get stabbed.
Back at Matt's apartment, Stick is already there, which upsets Matt. They fight violently after Matt learns Stick killed someone while looking for Black Sky.
You take care of yourself, man.
I'm not gonna let you kill that kid.
Oh, he's already dead. I can't even drag an old man! Maybe there's hope for you yet.
Matt tells Stick to leave his city. Karen takes Foggy to Ben's office to show him what Ben has discovered. They add the masked man to their list of connections. Matt finds the bracelet he gave Stick years ago while cleaning his apartment. In the final scene, Stick reports to a large man who can only be seen from the back, asking if Matt will be ready when the time comes. Fisk wakes up from a nightmare, sweating. He looks at a painting he recently bought, then makes a fancy breakfast. After getting dressed in his black suit and his father's cufflinks, he sees his reflection in the mirror with blood on him, setting a dramatic tone for the episode. In contrast, Matt's apartment is messy, and he looks worn out. At work, Karen and Foggy discuss their recent activities and worry about what Matt will say if he finds out. Foggy also admits he doesn't like Karen's coffee. When Matt arrives, he learns they are still investigating Union Allied and scolds them for putting themselves in danger. He insists they should use the legal system and agrees to help them. Fisk and Wesley meet Nobu, who is angry about Black Sky being dead and accuses Fisk of not fulfilling his end of the deal. Fisk argues that he did everything he was supposed to do, like making sure there were no police at the docks. We flash back to the 1970s in New York, where a young Fisk helps his father make campaign signs. His mother worries about overdue bills, and it's clear that Fisk's father, Bill Fisk, is abusive and greedy. Bill wants to join the city council to gain from the corrupt system.
This city, it's everything. You want a sip?
He most certainly does not.
Well, Dad let me take a sip from his glass before I could talk.
Bill, what are you doing? Jesus!
Come on, it's funny.
How am I paying for all this?
Rigoletto floated me.
Rigoletto? I don't know about all this.
You don't know about nothing.
In the present, Wilson Fisk is on the phone with Vanessa. They're having a serious conversation when Wesley walks in with some urgent news. Wesley informs Fisk that Detective Blake has finally woken up from his coma. This news is troubling for Fisk and Vanessa, as they worry about what Blake might say once he's fully conscious. They know Blake could reveal crucial information that might jeopardize their plans. Fisk and Vanessa quickly decide that Blake needs to be silenced before he can speak. However, they face a problem. Only 2 of the police officers at the hospital are loyal to them. This means they don't have enough control over the situation to ensure Blake's death. They come up with a plan to reach out to Detective Hoffman, who is Blake's partner, to get him involved in the plot. Back at Nelson and Murdoch, Matt, Foggy, and Karen are busy in their office, trying to piece together information about suspicious companies that might be connected to Fisk. Karen brings them an important update. Detective Blake has regained consciousness. This piece of news catches Matt's attention. He knows that Blake could hold valuable information about Fisk and his operations.
Hey, you gotta sign in.
Hey, sure.
I'm sorry.
Whatever your partner just injected you with has already reached your heart. But you can make the man responsible for this pay for what he's done.
Hoffman, what the hell's going on in there? Go! Move!
Meanwhile, Leland Owlsley and Wilson Fisk are at Melvin Potter's workshop. Owlsley is getting fitted for a new suit, and Fisk is with him. Wesley updates them about the incident at the hospital, making it clear that things are getting more complicated. Owlsley, known for his sarcastic demeanor, shows that he still holds significant importance in Fisk's organization. His role in the situation is more complex than it initially appeared, and his interactions with Fisk reveal a deeper level of their alliance.
I'm not hungry. You eat it. It'll make you feel better.
What the hell happened to you?
It's all right. I got this.
You want him to get fatter than he already is?
Well,
What did he do?
he said I was a loser, just like my dad.
Get your coat. You want to call me a loser to my face?
I didn't call you a loser, man.
Oh, my boy's a liar now, huh?
My dad did.
What a man tries to do?
Jesus!
Hey! Say something funny! Go ahead!
Stop!
Go ahead! You have to show him that that can never happen. You gotta show him that you're a man. Kick him! Kick him! Kick him! Kick him! Harder!
In the present, Fisk wakes up again and repeats his morning routine. Wesley informs him that Madame Gao wants to meet. Fisk speaks to her in Mandarin and Japanese, and Gao scolds him for being sloppy and emotional.
Sir, if there's anything I can bring...
Get out!
The scene flashes back to Fisk's childhood again. Bill Fisk forces Fisk to think about the kind of man he wants to be while staring at a wall. Bill then beats his wife Marlene in front of Fisk. In the present, Vanessa encourages Fisk to stand his ground against those trying to bring him down. Meanwhile, Ben Urich walks in the rain and talks on the phone about a story he doesn't want to cover. Matt shows up and reveals that Fisk and Owlsley are behind everything. He explains how he got the information, and Ben decides to listen.
Shut up! Shut up! I don't want to hear it! They see you and that little bastard and they laugh! You don't believe in me! Shut up!
Stop it!
You believe this kid?
Keep kicking him! Keep kicking him!
It's okay, Mommy. It's all right. It's all right, baby. It's all right. Get the saw.
We carried him in bags down to the river. That's why I still wear these. To remind myself that I'm not cruel for the sake of cruelty. They don't understand what I'm trying to do for this city. They want to drag my name through the streets.
And are you going to let them?
No.
The next morning, Vanessa picks out a lighter suit and different cufflinks for Fisk. On TV, Fisk speaks against the devil of Hell's Kitchen, claiming to fight crime and corruption. Matt, Foggy, and Karen all see the broadcast, and Ben erases his story about Fisk. Matt, upset, throws his laptop against the wall. Matt is outside the church the day before. He talks with Father Lantom, who shares his view that the devil takes many forms based on his experiences. Ben visits Karen and Foggy at the office. They discuss Fisk's recent actions and try to piece together information about various people and companies connected to him. They also learn that Tully is on an island and not easily reachable, and Matt decides to target Vanessa. Matt visits Vanessa at the art gallery.
You're probably wondering what a man who can't see is doing in an art gallery.
You don't need sight to appreciate art, but you do need honesty. It's a good line, by the way. You should use it.
I might. Tell me, do you have a man in your life?
Are you hitting on me?
I just mean, what is he like?
You could always ask him yourself.
Hope I'm not interrupting. I was nearby.
Not at all. We're just talking about you.
Yes, the attorney. I've heard about all your work in Hell's Kitchen.
Although we probably shouldn't be talking, I believe we're on opposite sides of a tenancy case. Vanessa, thank you so much for your time.
Mr. Fisk.
He later goes to church, feeling conflicted about Fisk and his next steps. Father Lantom offers him guidance. The next morning, Matt learns that the attackers of Karen's apartment have vanished. Karen and Foggy find out that Elena's killer worked for Westmeyer Holt Contracting. Elena's murder deeply affects Matt, Karen, and Foggy, leading them to drink at Josie's bar. Matt suspects Fisk is involved. Back at his apartment, Matt beats up thugs to find out who killed Elena.
Tell me what you do now.
All right.
He tracks down the killer and discovers Elena's bag in a drug dealer's apartment. He follows the lead to a warehouse where he finds plans and maps. During the fight, Matt gets seriously injured, but manages to set Nobu on fire using gasoline and sparks from a broken light. Fisk arrives and thanks Matt for killing Nobu, admitting he used Elena to lure Matt out.
It's disappointing.
Matt and Fisk fight, and Matt eventually escapes through a window and lands in the water below. Foggy finds Matt collapsed on his apartment floor and discovers that Matt is the masked hero. Matt, badly hurt, wakes up on his couch. Foggy shows up and, angry and hurt, tells Matt that Claire patched him up. The scene is tense, and before the intro, Foggy asks him that if he is even blind. The scene flashes back to the early days when Matt and Foggy first met. Just as he's finishing up, Matt Murdock walks in. Foggy notices him and recognizes Matt's name from their previous introduction. Foggy's face lights up with excitement. He eagerly approaches Matt and mentions how thrilled he is to have him around. Foggy is hopeful that Matt might help him with his social life, especially when it comes to meeting women. Matt, feeling a bit overwhelmed by the attention and expectations, is relieved to see that Foggy treats him like any other person. It's a comforting change for Matt, who is still adjusting to his new surroundings. Fast forward to the present, Matt and Foggy are back in Matt's apartment.
So you can see.
That's not, you're not, are you even listening?
How many fingers am I holding up?
The atmosphere is tense as they have a serious discussion about Matt's secret abilities. Matt has recently shared with Foggy that he has extraordinary senses and powers, which he has kept hidden from most people. Foggy is upset that Matt confided in Claire Temple about his powers, but he understands why Matt felt he had no other choice. The weight of Matt's secret has been heavy on their friendship. Foggy's frustration grows as he questions whether Matt is involved in the police shootings and explosions that have been happening. This accusation cuts deep for Matt, and he becomes emotional. Tears well up in his eyes as he explains that all the chaos and violence were orchestrated by Fisk. Fisk meets with Gao, who tells him a story about a snake and an elephant. Fisk wonders if he's the snake or the elephant. They discuss Nobu's death, and Fisk admits he hasn't found Matt's body. Gao advises Fisk to choose between being a savior or an oppressor. Ben visits his wife at the hospital, where they talk about his recent story and their life together. Doris seems confused, and Ben receives bad news about his wife's care. Foggy finds Matt's gear and learns about Stick, Matt's mentor. In another flashback, Matt and Foggy discuss their future after a night of drinking and settle on the name Nelson and Murdoch for their future law firm.
Murdoch and Nelson, attorneys at law.
Nelson and Murdoch. Me and you, pal. We're gonna be the best damn avocados this city's ever seen.
Ben is offered a new job, but is focused on his wife's care. Karen suggests a nursing home upstate, which Ben realizes is too expensive, but Karen insists on checking it out. Foggy confronts Matt about his abilities and training. Matt explains he first heard sirens as a kid and later learned about the violence happening around him. He recounts attacking a man who was molesting a girl. Foggy is concerned Matt might not be able to stop, and Matt admits he doesn't want to.
I knew his routine. Waited till he was alone.
You touch your daughter again, and I will know.
Maybe it isn't only about justice, Matt. Maybe you just can't stop yourself.
I don't want to stop.
At the retirement home, Karen and Ben meet Fisk's mother, Mrs. M.M. Bistain. She talks about her past and reveals disturbing details about Fisk's family. Fisk, with Vanessa by his side, is giving a speech at a charity event when people start collapsing and foaming at the mouth. Vanessa also falls ill, and Fisk rushes to help her. Owlsley, who hasn't drunk from his glass, drops it in shock. Back at Matt's apartment, Foggy, still angry, tells Matt he's risking his life and getting everyone involved without their consent. After a heated argument, Foggy leaves, leaving Matt devastated. In a final flashback, Matt and Foggy are in a bar, discussing their future and toasting their partnership. In the present, Foggy throws the Nelson and Murdoch sign into the trash. Fisk arrives carrying an unconscious Vanessa. While Vanessa is taken to be treated, Owlsley is concerned about his safety and speculates about the attack on Fisk. Karen arrives at Matt's apartment and knocks on the door. Matt opens it, and Karen is immediately taken aback by his appearance. He looks hurt and battered, with visible injuries. She is concerned and asks him what happened, suspecting that it might have something to do with Fisk. Matt tries to downplay his condition, but Karen is not convinced and pushes him for more information. Karen then tells Matt about what she learned regarding Fisk's past, revealing how Fisk's father was killed. Matt is visibly upset when he hears this. He's frustrated that Karen went to visit Fisk's mother without first discussing it with him or Foggy. The tension between them is palpable. After their conversation, Karen leaves Matt's apartment, but not before handing him a balloon with a monkey on it, a small gesture that seems to lighten the mood slightly, despite the seriousness of their discussion. Later, Foggy wakes up in Marcy's apartment. He's feeling disoriented and conflicted. He avoids Karen's phone call, not wanting to deal with her right now. Instead, Instead, he talks with Marcy about his future. Foggy feels like he might never be able to work with Matt again. Meanwhile, Fisk is anxiously waiting at the hospital. Owlsley, his associate, discusses the recent attack and suggests they should check if Gao was involved. Fisk is concerned and wants to know more. Claire, who has been tending to Matt's wounds, gives him a stern warning. She tells him that saints and martyrs often end up bloody and alone, hinting at the sacrifices and struggles he may face. She leaves, informing Matt that she's taking some time off and leaving town for a while.
Thank you, Claire. I know I keep saying it. It probably doesn't mean anything at this point, but
I'll always be there when you really need me to patch you up.
Karen meets with Ben Urich, who is still upset with her for the deception she was involved in. They discuss their findings and the current situation. Karen urges Ben to print the information they have, believing it's crucial to expose the truth. Ben, however, is doubtful that publishing the story will make a difference. He reveals a shocking detail. The food poisoning at Fisk's event was part of a deliberate attack, not just an accident. This new revelation adds another layer of danger and urgency to their fight against Fisk, heightening the stakes as they continue their struggle to bring justice and uncover the truth. Fisk talks with Wesley, asking him to arrange safety for Vanessa if she recovers. Wesley reassures him as the doctor brings good news. Matt visits Father Lantom, discussing his past and feelings about his abilities. Father Lantom offers some perspective. Matt then meditates but struggles and goes to find Turk. He threatens Turk for information about Fisk's body armor. Fisk receives a phone call from his mother, Marlene, but he doesn't pick up. Instead, he asks Wesley to return her call for him. Wesley then makes the call to Marlene, and she tells him that she had an unexpected visitor earlier. Meanwhile, Matt is busy investigating. He tracks down Melvin Potter, the man who makes the special suits.
It wasn't very nice.
I want something very special. I promise to get Fisk out of your life.
What do you want me to make?
A symbol.
Back at Josie's bar, Karen finds Foggy. They sit down and talk about their issues. The conversation is tense as they both express their frustrations and concerns. Karen decides to call both Matt and Ben, seeking their support and help in dealing with the current crisis. After their talk, Karen heads back home. But as soon as she arrives, she is attacked by unknown assailants. It's a terrifying moment, and she struggles to fend them off. Later, Fisk has a heated conversation with Vanessa. He vows to make anyone who has wronged her suffer, showing his deep commitment to her and his ruthless nature. Karen wakes up in a strange room with Wesley. He offers her a job to convince Ben that Fisk is good for the city. Wesley's offer is an attempt to manipulate Karen into doing his bidding. When Karen refuses, Wesley becomes threatening.
You've proven yourself resourceful, tenacious, with a commendable ability to convince others that your way is the right one.
I'd rather die first.
Do you really think I would put a loaded gun on the table where you could reach it?
Do you really think this is the first time I've shot someone?
Miss Page.
After her dramatic escape, Karen finds herself standing by the river. She throws the gun she used to kill Wesley into the water, trying to get rid of the evidence and leave behind the violence she's been part of. She rushes back home, her emotions overwhelming her. She drinks heavily, collapsing on her kitchen floor as the alcohol takes its toll. Karen then takes a long, hard shower but brings the bottle with her, unable to fully escape her turmoil. She struggles to find peace and sleep, but is haunted by a vivid dream. In the dream, Wilson Fisk's voice echoes, telling her that it gets easier the more you do it. This chilling message shocks her awake, gasping for air, her mind racing as she confronts the gravity of her actions and the threats still looming over her. Karen goes to the office late at night, looking shaken. Foggy, who's there to pick up some things, notices she's been drinking. He apologizes for the tension between him and Matt and jokes about their drinking habits. Foggy is determined to keep digging into the Fisk case and asks Karen for the file from the man in the mask. He admits he's unsure what to make of the masked man, leaving Karen uneasy. Matt shows up at the office late at night and finds Foggy just leaving. There's an uncomfortable silence between them, and neither of them says a word. Karen, who has been watching, notices the clear tension between Matt and Foggy. Meanwhile, Fisk is anxiously waiting at the hospital. Vanessa wakes up, and Fisk tells her about the attack at the benefit and his plans to send her out of the country. Vanessa wants to stay with him. They are interrupted by Francis, who informs Fisk that Wesley has been found dead.
He ordered me to stay. He wanted as many men on you as possible.
Oh! Well, he did what he was told.
Clean him up.
Fisk discovers Wesley's last call was to his mother, Marlene. Ben is approached by Matt, who wants information. Matt gives Ben a packet of heroin and learns it's called Steel Serpent. Ben mentions a mysterious woman running the Chinese operation and gives Matt an address. Matt promises to investigate. Foggy meets Marcy at Josie's bar. He tells her about his suspicion connecting Fisk to Elena's murder. Marcy is wary but agrees to look at the documents Foggy has. Karen pressures Ben to publish the story, but Ben says he's waiting on a second source. Karen is frustrated, but Ben promises to write it up the next day. At Josie's, Marcy is intrigued by Foggy's documents. Foggy encourages her to act on her doubts about Fisk to restore her integrity. Matt goes to check out the address that Ben gave him. He's on a mission and is determined to find out what's going on. As he arrives at the location, he sees a woman with a white cane walking towards a warehouse. Curious and cautious, Matt decides to follow her inside. When Matt enters the warehouse, he's shocked to find that all the workers there are blind. Madame Gao, a mysterious and dangerous figure, is in charge and is giving orders.
Wait, hey, I'm trying to help you. Wait.
You took their eyes.
No, they blinded themselves.
You're gonna tell me about Fisk.
Police!
Blake and Hoffman are dirty, working for Wilson Fisk, along with a lot of others in your precinct.
Gao and Owsley discuss the situation. Gao's heroin is burning, but she's not concerned. They reveal they were targeting Vanessa all along. Gao denies involvement in Wesley's death and decides to leave for a distant place. Ben visits his wife, Doris, brings flowers and discusses his firing. Doris suggests he start a blog. Matt meets Karen at the office. She lets him in, and he suggests she go home since it's late. Karen questions if they've become people who don't talk to each other. Matt admits he's struggling and says he can't continue alone. They share a hug. Ben returns home, starts typing at his desk with whiskey in hand, and is surprised to find Fisk waiting in the background. Fisk apologizes for underestimating Ben and admits he has a mole on the paper. Fisk delivers a lecture about the state of the internet before asking if Ben was alone when he visited Fisk's mother. Ben confirms he was alone, but Fisk suspects someone else was involved in Wesley's death.
You're a man of principle, of conviction. I understand that. I even admire it.
You know how many times people have threatened me?
Oh, I am not here to threaten you. I'm here to kill you.
Ben's funeral is taking place, and the scene is filled with people who knew him well. Matt, Karen, Father Lantom, Doris. After the funeral service ends, Karen approaches Doris to offer her condolences. Doris shares her thoughts with Karen, talking about how Ben felt about her. She tells Karen that Ben respected her and made his own decisions about everything that happened. Doris reassures Karen that Ben's choices were his own and that she shouldn't blame herself for what happened. Meanwhile, Matt has a brief conversation with Father Lantom. During their talk, Matt expresses his deep regret and guilt, blaming himself for not stopping the events that led to Ben's death. Father Lantom tries to comfort him, acknowledging Matt's feelings, but also reminding him that sometimes things are beyond our control. Later, Karen updates Matt on a concern she has. She mentions that Ellison, Ben's editor, was at the funeral and raises a suspicion that Ellison might have taken bribes from Fisk. Matt is hesitant to agree with her, but he acknowledges that they should be careful. He understands that they need to be cautious and keep an eye on things as they continue their fight against Fisk and his influence. Their first task is to find Hoffman before Fisk's men do. They all know that time is of the essence and that finding Hoffman could be the key to stopping Fisk's plans. They prepare to move forward, determined to bring justice and end the threat Fisk poses. Karen uncovers a missing property record that could provide a lead on Hoffman's location. Matt decides to check out the address listed in the record. Before Matt leaves, Foggy expresses concern and urges him to be careful. Despite Foggy's warning, Matt sets off to investigate, determined to find Hoffman and bring him to justice.
Your hand's shaking.
I figure you'd find out sooner or later.
You and Gao? She's gone. You're stealing from me.
Just look at what's happened since you took up with her. We just wanted to nudge you back on track.
You hurt Vanessa! Find Hoffman and put a bullet in his head.
Turn yourself into Brett Mahoney. You can trust him. I'll be following you to make sure you get to the precinct alive.
Wilson Fisk, you're under arrest for racketeering.
I want to ask you. You are my heart. You're everything.
Fisk has a plan to escape his current situation. As he attempts to carry out his escape, his van is suddenly attacked. Fisk's men come to his rescue, helping him flee from the dangerous situation.
Get you out of here, sir.
At the same time, Matt, now wearing his new Daredevil costume, intercepts Fisk. A fierce and brutal fight breaks out between Daredevil and Fisk.
15 minutes to the drop.
Not everyone deserves a happy ending.
I wanted to make this city something beautiful. You took that away from me! Come on, come This city doesn't deserve a better tomorrow! It deserves to drown!
This is my city.
Just as Daredevil finishes defeating Fisk, Officer Brett Mahoney arrives at the scene. Fisk is finally taken into custody and arrested by the police. The next day, Matt, Foggy, and Karen are at their office, feeling excited and celebrating their recent victory. They chat and joke about their new office sign, which is a symbol of their success. The mood is light as they talk about their future plans and what comes next for them. Even though Matt and Karen are having a good time, they notice that Karen seems a bit off. She's not as cheerful as usual, and they can tell that something might still be bothering her. As the episode nears its end, we see Wilson Fisk in prison, reflecting on his past actions and the choices he has made. He is deep in thought. Meanwhile, Matt, in his Daredevil suit, is perched high on a rooftop. The series ends with Daredevil leaping off the rooftop, ready to confront whatever danger awaits him, setting up an exciting storyline for the next season together with The Punisher, which you can check on our channel. I really hope you enjoyed the recap, and if you did, then please consider subscribing to the channel, smashing the like button, turning on the notification bell, and sharing the video for more awesome recaps. Thank you for watching.